I can do it.
Please.
Om Ekyanatimiyantasya Jnananjana Salakaya Sakshamina Tasmai Sri Guru Namaha Sri Satyamani Vistam Sapatamina Bhutale Swami Vakadamayam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapatakamalam Sri Guru Vaisnavamsa Sri Rupam Sakrasatam Savana Raghunatham Bhutantam Sasivam Sadvaitam Sabadhitam Parisana Saitam Krishna Saitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Paran Savana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Sa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Sivanu Sute Devi Pranamani Haripya Panchakalpataruvasa Kripa Sindhuvesa Patitanam Pavanebho Vaisnavibho Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktabinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasarine Nirvise Sajnavadi Pasattare Satarine Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Padaya Nitai Kripa Padayane Gauravani Navagramani Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Sevanarottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Mudrite Nastapasa Petri Sunitam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavato Punisloke Bhakti Bhagavati Namaste. Yes, madam.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Beautiful. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we stopped at Virabhadra trying to kill Daksha, and he was unable to penetrate even Daksha's skin. And then, hurling the axe away, he said, "Let us see if you can withstand the power of Vedic mantras." One after another, he recited incantations more powerful than any weapon. None of them had any effect. Virabhadra leapt off Daksha's chest and paced up and down. Daksha had to be beheaded. But how? Throwing up his hands, he cried, "My dear Lord Shiva, please guide my intelligence." Looking around, he spotted the wooden device used for killing animals. Taking it in both hands, he towered over and the dazed Daksha thrust his head into a contraption, fitting it tightly around his neck. Squeezing with all his might, he strangled Daksha and ripped off his head. Shiva's follower leapt in the air, cheering raucously. "Daksha is slain! Daksha is slain!" "Alas, alas," wailed the Brahmins and gods. "Daksha has been heinously murdered." The ghosts and goblins danced wildly around the arena, taunting and jeering Daksha's grief-stricken supporters. Virabhadra roared in rage and threw Daksha's bloodied head into the southern side of the sacrificial fire. Turning to his cheering army, he shouted, "Burn the place to the ground, then we shall return to Kailash." Okay, we'll pause there. Oof. It has indeed ended in this way. If we go back and see how much false ego can get us in trouble. Oh, we can learn that from Daksha. Now, Brahma pacifies Shiva So we see another chapter here. Shiva gets involved, and this is very sad situation because what is the fault of Daksha's wife and children, right? I mean, the other daughters or even the other Brahmins, because they were not responsible for Daksha's behavior. He chose to behave in that way. On the other hand, Lord Shiva, he did what was his duty. But then we'll see the difference between Daksha and Shiva. Shiva will immediately be consoled by Brahma, whereas you see Daksha, he was not willing to listen to anybody. Yesterday, in our the course that we began yesterday on Bhadra Purnima, um, Bhagavatam for the independently thoughtful. So we studied how Parikshit Maharaj, even though he's such a great emperor, such a great devotee, he asks questions which are filled with so many doubts. How can, how, like he has so many questions about why Krishna is partial, why Indra was treated this way, why Vritrasura had to be killed, like that. It's just in the seventh canto. He asks all these questions, and that shows the humility of a devotee, and that shows that devotees are never trying to show off that, oh, I know everything, I'm great. Even Parikshit Maharaj, such a great emperor, and he has so much faith, and still he's not worrying, oh, what will people think if I ask like this. In fact, he thinks, if I have this doubt, everybody has this doubt. So then he asks this question. Is the Lord partial? And he, imagine Parikshit Maharaj, who Krishna personally entered the womb and gave him darshan and protected from the Brahmastra. And that personality asking, is the Lord partial? And being convinced the Lord is not partial. The whole chapter was that, beautiful. The whole purports are about that. Prabhupada explains about the Lord not being partial. And here we are observing how Lord Shiva's personal family member is slain. Of course, I mean, it's not like Daksha went and cut off Sati's head, but he did. He did cause it. So we're seeing a very sad end, let's say, like tragic situation. Yeah. Okay. So next chapter. And if you like, can read, is able to read.
Okay, I'll read. The gods,
Yes.
Brahma pacifies Lord Shiva. The gods go to Kailash to appease the angry Shiva. Hysterical women cowered in groups, wailing inconsolably. Just have gods, Brahmins picked themselves up and stumbled about aimlessly. The arena was in shambles. Daksha was dead, and several others severely injured. Those celestials who had only suffered superficial wounds huddled together to discuss what they should do. What if Shiva's men returned? They must somehow or other appease him. Indra suggested they seek Brahma's help. The bedraggled crew hurried to Satyaloka, prostrating themselves before Brahma. They reported all that had happened. Brahma showed no surprise. Both Lord Vishnu and I anticipated this would occur. That is why neither of us attended the sacrifice. He shook his head reprovingly. My dear sons, you cannot be happy in executing a sacrifice if you blaspheme a great personality. Shiva was right to have Daksha killed. If he had lived, he would have further degraded himself by his offenses. Indeed, if you are all offenders, since you have colluded in excluding Shiva from receiving his share of the sacrificial results, the god hung their heads. They had made a terrible mistake. After offending Shiva, how could they expect any good fortune? Brahma said, you must go to him without reservation, fall at his feet, feet and begged his pardon. He is easily pleased, and when he sees your genuine contrition, he will surely forgive you. The Celestials cast fearful glances at each other. How could they approach Shiva? What if he burned them to ashes? Noting their hesitation, Brahma said, "Certainly, Shiva is so powerful that his anger can immediately destroy all the planets with their chief controllers. But bear in mind that in this instance he was specially disturbed. Not only was he still stinging from Daksha's unkind words, but he had also just lost his dear wife. Under the circumstances, I think you should all go at once and beg his forgiveness." Bhrigu and Pusha frowned. Why should senior Brahmins like themselves have to apologize? Could Brahma not chastise Shiva for the harm he had inflicted on them? Brahma read their minds. Not I, nor Indra, nor any of you sages, nor indeed all of us combined can match Shiva's influence. None of us can even imagine the extent of his power. No one should risk offending him. Indra wrung his hands. What if he refuses to accept our apology? Brahma said, "Do not fear. I will go with you to Kailash. I am sure Shiva will show respect to me." The party left at once. As they approached Kailasha, they saw that it was abounding in herbs and vegetables. Auspicious Vedic mantras reverberated everywhere. Mystic yogis were dotted here and there in their hermitages. Celestial residents of Kailasha floated through the airways in various kinds of aircraft. Gandharvas played beautiful music, and their Apsara wives danced happily, while Kinnaras wandered here and there. The ground was decorated with colorful minerals like black opals, pynite, rhodium, gold, jadeite, diamonds, lithium, platinum, rubies, and blue garnets. Groves of valuable trees and plants beautified the landscape. On the top of Kailasha, they saw various species of deer. There were many waterfalls and magnificent mountain caves in which the beautiful wives of the mystics lived. From all around, they could hear the rhythmical sound of peacocks sweetly mewing, bees humming, and countless varieties of exotic birds singing. Herds of elephants lumbered leisurely over the verdant terrain, their heavy footsteps shaking the ground. The sound of crashing waterfalls filled the air, and all around they saw swaying trees such as cinnamon, asafoetida, jackfruit, blackberry, mango, and countless others, all filled with fragrant blossoms. Their forest appeared like a vast landscaped garden. The lake were covered with red, blue, and white lotuses and were home to warbling birds, musk deer, monkeys, lions, tigers, bulls, forest cows, and asses all lived peacefully side by side. Brahma's party marveled at Kailash's beauty. As they flew over the hill, they were specially struck with the radiant beauty of one small lake. Indra turned to Lord Brahma. "O Lord, I am astonished at Shiva's opulence. There is abundance everywhere. This lake specially attracts me. Please tell me its name and to what it owes its great charm." Brahma replied, "It is filled with Ganges water, which flows through this region. Here Sati would take her bath, and it is therefore especially auspicious. A cool, aromatic breeze, what wafted by Brahma, pointed to the blossoming trees and the lotuses. Because of their fragrance, this region is called Sogandhika. As they passed over two rivers, Brahma said, "These rivers are called Nanda and Alaknanda. They were both sanctified by the dust of the lotus feet of Govinda, the Supreme Lord. These rivers are favorite rendezvous of apsaras and other celestial beauties when they desire to enjoy conjugal delights with their husbands. See how the waters of these rivers are yellowish from the fragrant kumkum washed from the celestial bodies. Attracted by this sweet aroma, elephants come here to drink. Just then they saw fleets of airplanes bedecked with pearls, gold, and many valuable jewels. On board were parties of heavenly denizens. The gods and sages gaped at their beauty. As they passed into the distance, they looked like clouds in the sky, decorated with occasional flashes of lightning. While still passing over the Saugandhika forest, full of flowers, fruits, and desired trees, they saw Kuvera's abode, which was home to many red-necked birds whose sweet songs mingled with the humming of bees and the crying of swans. Continuing their flight, they saw herds of elephants in the sandalwood forests. They spotted areas allocated for bathing, stairs made of priceless Veduria gems led into the lotus-filled waters. They saw celestial beauties coyly soliciting the amorous embraces of their husbands. Brahma's party at last came to a great banyan tree. It was 800 miles high, with branches spread over 600-mile radius. Under its cool shade, the Celestials noted the complete silence. There was not even bird song. The sages in the party sighed appreciatively. The tree was magnificent. It could shelter innumerable mystics aspiring for liberation. As they admired the tree, they spied Shiva seated at its base, his expression grave and peaceful. He was surrounded by many saintly persons, including Kuvera and the four Kumaras and Narada. Tremors of anxiety went through the gods and sages accompanying Brahma.
Sorry.
How could Shiva react on seeing them? Brahma reassured them. Lord Shiva is perfect in devotional service. He has fully controlled his senses, has complete knowledge, and always acts in perfect accord with righteousness. He is famous as Shiva, all auspicious, because he has affection for everyone and is the friend of the entire world. As their planes descended, they folded their palms to Shiva, who was dressed in saffron garments, seated on a deerskin spread over straw. His body was smeared with ashes, and a crescent moon symbol was set in his hair. He sat in a virasana with his left leg placed on his right thigh and his left hand resting on his left thigh. In his right hand he had Rudraksh beads, and his forefinger was raised. Being the foremost in that assembly, he was absorbed in describing the absolute truth to the numerous sages present, including Narada. Brahma stepped off his swan carrier and bowed his foreheads. O Mahadeva, you are the most vulnerable, worshipped by both gods and the demons. Shiva immediately rose. He also bowed and touched Brahma's feet in respect. All the sages who had been listening to Shiva offered obeisance to Brahma. After accepting their worship, Brahma addressed Shiva. My dear Shiva, although you offer me respect, in truth you are more powerful than me, for you are one with Vishnu. I know that you are the source of the universe and even the impersonal Brahm beyond. In your forms of Shiva and Shakti, you create, maintain, and annihilate the universe, just as a spider creates, maintains, and destroys its web. By your will, Daksha introduced the process of sacrifice to attain material prosperity. It is because you created the system of Varn and ashrama that it followed strictly by the Brahmins. But Brahma hesitated. He needed to broach a difficult subject. Now that Daksha was dead, who would initiate sacrifice, without which there would be misfortune throughout the world? Taking a deep breath, he said, O most auspicious Lord, by your order, The pious attain either the heavens, impersonal liberation, or the spiritual planets, according to their desires. Similarly, by your order, the sinful go to different hells to suffer ghastly punishments. Yet sometimes we see that you break your own rules and send the pious to hell while the sinful are liberated. I am therefore confused. Shiva's features remained impassive. As he gazed at Brahma with his three eyes, he understood his father's allusion. Daksha was pious and yet he went to hell, whereas the sinful Ajamila had received liberation. Brahma continued, I am convinced that you act only out of mercy, not anger. Even your sincere devotees who see your presence in everyone's heart as the supersoul are not impelled by anger. Only animalistic people who differentiate between one living being and another succumb to rage. Shiva replied, Father, if I did not become angry and punish the sinful, then everyone would commit sins with impunity. Brahma said, Rest assured that those who make distinctions between living beings who are attached to enjoying the results of their work, who only think of their own benefit, who become upset to see others flourish, and who speak harshly will certainly be killed as a result of such misbehavior. You need not kill such sinners out of anger. If you become angry with them, they will have no chance of redemption. My Lord, when materialists commit offenses, the saintly forgive them, knowing that the deluded materialist is suffering in Maya's clutches. Saintly people always show them mercy rather than punish them. Since your intelligence is never bewildered by the illusionary energy, it's, it befits you to show mercy to deluded persons who are attracted to karmic work. Shiva smiled. What would you like me to do, Father? The gods visibly relaxed as Brahma continued. My dear Shiva,
Okay, we'll pause there. This whole relational rasa between Brahma and Shiva, right? He pays obeisances to Brahma, and then Brahma pays obeisances to Shiva. And this is, this reminds me of a past time. See, Narad Muni is Prahlad Maharaj. Narad Muni is Prahlad Maharaj's guru, because in the womb, when Prahlad was in the womb, Narad Muni instructed him. Um, and then in another lifetime, um, the there is a pastime between Vyasatirtha and Purandaradasa. And Purandaradasa is known to be Narada Muni's Amsha, like incarnation of Narada Muni. And Vyasatirtha, who's in, if you see Bhagavad Gita, we'll see in the disciplic succession, no names of disciplic succession, just before Lakshmipati Tirtha, like that, just before there is Vyasatirtha. He's one of our acharyas in the disciplic succession. So he is considered to be Prahalad Maharaj's Amsha, like he's an incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. So in this happened like 500 years ago, this pastime, where Vyasatirtha and Purandaradasa both lived in the same kingdom, and Vyasatirtha happened to be the guru of Prahlad Maharaj in this time. And every morning, Vyasatirtha will come very quietly without anybody seeing. Like just before sunrise, he'll come behind Purandaradasa's house and he'll pay obeisances. He'll pay obeisances and he'll go away. And then Purandaradasa's wife used to watch that. Like, what is this? Why Guru Maharaj is coming every morning and paying obeisances? And you know why he does it secretly? Then one day she couldn't control herself, and she actually went out when Vyasatirtha was paying obeisances. She went out and then she asked Guru Maharaj, why are you doing this? You are our guru. Why are you paying obeisances? And then he revealed that actually, see, Purandaradasa in this lifetime is my shishya, is my disciple. But actually, in my previous birth, he was my guru. I am actually, I was Prahlad Damsha and he was Narada Muni. So he's actually my guru in this body. It happens to be that he's my disciple. So that was so fascinating story. I always feel very touched by that. See, that's the mood of a devotee, that's what means humility, to always remember we don't know who the person is, and what are we, our existence in this world, our achievements in this world is all very insignificant, and we may think this is mine, I am like queen or a king of this place, people are under me, the people are under my control. How long that's going to last? It's not going to last. Or there is this Bhaja Govindam verse that speaks about Ma Kuru Dhana Jana Yauvana Garvam Harati Nimesha Kala Sarvam Maya Khilam Hitva Brahmapadam Tvam Pravisha Vidhitva. So this verse says that what are you taking pride in? You're taking pride in your wealth, you're taking pride in the followers, you're taking pride in your youth, you're taking pride in your family members. In Haratini Mesha Kala Sarvam. Kala, time can actually take all these things away in a second. So do not, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudamate. Oh, foolish person, don't identify yourself with these things. These things will disappear in a moment, in a kshana, in 1 second. Kala can take away everything, right? So whatever we take pride in, it could be any of these things like position, power, wealth, beauty, followers. All these things can be taken away in a second. So whereas when we observe the pastimes between exalted devotees like Brahma and Shiva, we are observing here, they are not succumb to those things. And this is the contrast between Daksha and Shiva. Look at Lord Shiva, peacefully sitting there. Just now, he lost his wife, and then he got his own father-in-law murdered. So on one side, it's like any of us, if we are engaged in certain activities that we are going through a trauma or some difficulty, and we cause some problem to others, we will be so disturbed. But Mahadev is Manobhimani Devata. He's actually the god who rules the mind. He is the deity which controls the mind in everybody. I mean, every jiva. He's the one who controls our Manobhimani Devata. He's the one who controls it. Every organ, every part of our body is controlled by a specific demigod. And Mahadev is known to be like super under control emotionally and mentally, and we can see he's there already giving class to all the other Narada and the Kumaras and everybody. He's already giving class. Actually, there is one verse, there's Ashtakam written by Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wrote Ashtakam about Lord Shiva. And in that, he actually says this particular verse. And when you were reading it, I was just remembering that verse. Shri Naradadhyai Satatam Sugopya Jigyasitaya Shuvara Pradaya Tebhyo Harer Bhakti Sukha Pradaya Shivaya Sarva Gurave Namo Namaha. This is Mahaprabhu. He's saying that Narada and the Kumaras and all these great devotees and sages, they actually go and listen to Lord Shiva. They ask questions. Specifically, it says they ask questions, jigyasitam. They ask jigyasa with curiosity. They ask questions because Shiva is the wisest. And then Mahaprabhu says, Lord Shiva is actually the guru of all the living entities. Like that. So Mahadev is very powerful. When we actually take shelter of Mahadev, he gives us protection of our consciousness. He can protect our consciousness, and he can give us a very good mind. Good mind means peace, satisfaction, and choosing what is eternally beneficial, and choosing Krishna over everything else. And he knows how to do that. And then he, like Brahma said, oh, although like you're my son, you are actually superior to me. And that's Brahma's greatness to recognize that, because Mahadev he's not an ordinary person. He's not like Jiva Shakti, He's actually Tatastha. He has, if I remember correctly, 70, I forget how many, 70 plus qualities of Krishna he has in him. So that's like a lot. There's only one person, Mahadev. Like, for example, Brahma is a position. Like, Brahma changes. When Brahma's lifetime is over, then someone else becomes Brahma. Brahma is like a position, whereas Mahadev is not like that. Lord Shiva is eternal. He doesn't have like birth, death, none of that. He's always there. So he's very, very special. He's mm, special category. In Taratamya, Mahadev always comes top. That's why he's Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambho. So Shiva is not a position, unlike Brahma and Indra. These are all positions. Any questions so far? We can actually stop here. What would you like me to do, Father? Asks Lord Shiva. Such humility, such grace, such wisdom. We'll pause there and then continue tomorrow. Any thoughts, any questions?
When they reached Kailas and saw Shiva, and he was just peaceful, like there was no expression in his face. It was so astonishing. Like just now his wife was killed, and like not directly killed, but because of Daksa, and Daksa was also killed, and people, all the Brahmins and demigods, they were like, other people who were there, everyone was so disturbed, but Shiva, he didn't even have a like single sign of disturbance. It is really
Amazing.
like, yeah,
Amazing.
yes,
I feel like Lord Shiva was doing everything that Krishna says in Gita.
yes, yes.
At the same time, he had his duty, as he explains to Lord Shiva, Brahma. He can't not punish also, right?
Right.
Sometimes, certain bad behavior needs to be punished. You can't just let keep Daksha keep doing that. He would have caused much, much more harm to everybody. So Mahadev had a duty to correct Daksha, right? Who else? Sometimes we feel, no, when somebody who's bad is continuing bad activities, and finally somebody comes and kicks them, and then we say, thank God, somebody's putting them in place. Right? We feel like that, and like a relief that, oh, this person can't continue anymore doing, like sometimes when like a wrong politician or a wrong leader is removed from position. And then we say, thank God, otherwise this person would commit so many more atrocities.
Yes. And he did it just with detachment, right? That it is my duty. I'm just doing it. Not like he killed, because of this I
Yeah,
lost my
exactly.
wife.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just have one question. Like in the very first page, like in the I think first paragraph only, when what was the name of that who killed Daksa? I just forgot.
Virabhadra.
Virabhadra. So when he's trying to kill, like there is one sentence, right? He was looking for wooden devices which is used to kill animals in the sacrifice. It is written, right? If I'm not forgetting. I mean, I was just confused. Wooden devices means generally we use like they use sword or something like that to kill animals and all.
Yeah, but there will be like mostly it will be made of wood, but then there will be the blade inserted in the middle of the wood to cut.
Okay. Okay. Mhm. And
Like sometimes when we kill, it's mostly made of wood, but then there will be the sharp edges of the like a sword sharpness in the middle to like cut. I
mhm.
can send it later to you, like a photo of
Okay.
that.
Okay.
They'll usually keep it, and they'll have two parts. One is like a bottom part, one is like a top part. Mm. I think you see, if it's made only of metal, no, it will get rusted or something. So it will be
Okay.
made more to hold that.
Mm. I mean, I think I can imagine like knife only, right? The handle part where I will
Right,
use to hand. Yeah,
right.
okay. Because I just got confused. I thought how he used the wooden device. There must be some blade, right? Like, yeah.
Oh, you see, there are many things that he invoked mantras and then he invoked Lord Shiva's mercy. So
Hmm.
sometimes it's like that. We have to keep trying. Nobody is, what do you call it? What do you call, like, immortal? And not
Hmm.
definitely, Daksha was not immortal.
Hmm.
Anyway, now see, Shiva, such an opposite. He didn't say, no, I needed to do that. I'm not going to change. He's so humble. And he's saying, what should I do now? It's so sweet.
And when Brahma is praising Krishna, like sorry, praising Shiva, he's saying like you are the creator, maintainer, and annihilator. Like I found at that moment that those paragraphs, like generally we say all this for Krishna, right? You are sitting as Paramatma and all. So I was a little confused why he said those to Shiva. Like as far
What
as
he
I know,
said,
like you are saying to Shiva also, right? You are the creator, maintainer, and annihilator, like that. I think there was one sentence.
yeah, so we read that in the previous, I don't know if it's previous canto, fourth canto only we read. How when Atri and Anusuya they invoke like they do tapasya and they ask Supreme Lord to come, and then Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, all three comes, and then there's a description that on different levels each of them are uh, creators. For example, Brahma, like long building. I always gave that example. Long building in Mayapur. Who was it built by? Somebody may say, oh, it was built by Prabhupada because it was built at the time of Prabhupada. Somebody may say, no, it was built by Jayapatak Maharaj. And somebody may say, no, the architect built it. And somebody else will say, no, the one who put the brick by brick, that guy, that worker, he built it. So who built it actually? All of them. It's all true
All
on
of
a different level. So
hmm.
similarly, Vishnu is the supreme personality of Godhead. Yes, Mahadev is the supreme person and supreme Lord in this material world. Shiva and Parvati are the creator and maintaining and destruction of this world. Like Durga Devi is the lordess of this world. She is the fortress. She is the mother of this universe. So Mahadev and Parvati are both how do you say? Shiva and Parvati are mother and father of this universe as well. And Brahma is also the creator of this universe. So he's a Brahma, he's the father of all the living entities. So all the statements are true of Krishna. Whereas Supreme Lord, God of different levels, there are like Jagannath Maharaj also built it, the architect also built the long building, and the workers who put the bricks also built. They are all, you can say that they are all builders. They all built. None of the statements is wrong like that. So Brahma is glorifying Shiva because it is, I mean, we usually study Gita, and when we're studying again and again the purport that Krishna is the supreme person, everybody else is demigods, right? At the same time, even there are hierarchy among that. For example, who's running Mayapur? Right? Okay, you can say the GBC is running Mayapur, and then the managers of Mayapur, and then like there are different levels of who runs Mayapur, and then there are the daily services, those who do the services. So it's like, who is in the management? Everybody, but at the same time on top of everybody is Krishna. So it's an important thing, we should, that's why when we discuss or challenge or argue or convince, preach to Durga, devotees of Durga, devotees of Mahadev, we have to be careful because there are some Puranas, Shiva Purana, Durga, there is one called Devi Bhagavata. So there are different scriptures which do indicate that they are the supreme, but it's on a level, it's a certain level. This particular material world, they are the supreme. Like that. So we need to
Okay.
know it's not just, oh, the president, the prime minister of the country is Modi, and then we don't know anything else, about Mamata Banerjee is our chief minister. Who is the leader of West Bengal? And somebody may say Modi, and if you don't know Mamata Banerjee, we will look like idiots, right? So what Modi? We have our leader here, who's running the place. So like that, like Mamata Banerjee is the head of West Bengal, like that, Mahadev and Parvati, they are in charge of this material universe. They are the head, like that. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you.
All right. See you tomorrow. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank
Uh,
you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Rasastali Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji.